Welcome back. Asia-based South African author Nozuko Siyotula has given us a taste of her fiction work through her debut novel titled Christopher. Now, this book follows an extraordinary family, the January-Miyas, with their fabled, strong-willed women sequentially through several generations, as narrated through the voice of Vuyo. For more on this story, let's now chat to its writer, Nozuko Siyotula, and she joins us now from Zoom from Beijing. A very good morning to you, Nozuko. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning to you and your viewers. Thank you for having me on your show.
It's an absolute pleasure having you join us this morning, Nozuko. You're chatting to us all the way from Beijing. What time is it now in Beijing?
It's 1 o'clock. It's 1:30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right. Great stuff. Let's now start with you giving us a brief synopsis of Christopher and when the seed for this story was planted.
Well, the seed for the story was actually planted in my mid-20s. And I was going through what I suppose most people in their mid-20s are going through, trying to figure out the should-bes of your life. I should be this and I should be that. I went to school, I did this, and I was trying to figure out who I was. And so for me, the book is actually about, well, that's what the book is actually about. It's about self-discovery and it's about redemption. And I started writing the book during Easter. And so the themes followed a more religious sentiment because of when I started writing the book. And so the name Christopher refers to the saint patron of travelers in the Catholic tradition, because I was raised Anglican and Catholic people are cousins. And then also in the Christian faith, the face of redemption is Christ. And so the idea of self-travel or traveling towards self, as well as redemption, were the two themes that came together. So the name of the book is actually a metaphor. It's not actually about the person themselves, which I think has caused quite a lot of confusion, or not a lot of confusion, but I've read reviews where people are sort of stunted by the name and they're not really sure, like, why did she name it? But then it's about other people, you know? So it's actually a metaphor about that.
Okay. Let's now talk about the storyline, which is based on the backdrop of the strong-willed January-Miyas women. Give us a breakdown of this generational lineage.
Well, the book starts with the namesake Christopher having passed away. And the family is trying to grapple with, the passing away of this person, but of an intimate member of the family. And as you can imagine, if you've ever lost anybody close to you, that does something to the whole family. It changes how people think about their own mortality. It changes about, who and what they are. And so the person narrating the story is the person who was intimately involved with the character, but then the rest of the family through her also is affected by this death, and they then reflect on themselves, because the book is written in sort of a reflective kind of mode, given the themes of the book. So they then are trying to figure out individually, and they tell the reader how this death has then triggered inside of them things that they had buried, things that they had thought they had dealt with, things that they want to speak about but are necessarily not always easy because of how intimate and the gravity of which they've had to contend with them personally in their lives.
Interesting enough. Now, the book also focuses heavily on dealing with loss, and we see this through Vuyo, who's mourning the death of her husband, Christopher. Tell us more about this.
Yes, I mean, because I was also personally, when I wrote the book, dealing with the loss of what I was grieving the dreams that I thought I was going to have. So I was getting rid of the person who I thought I was supposed to be, and feeling like I disappointed a lot of people in my life, having changed careers, or, not being at a certain level of my life. And so I afterwards was dealing with personal loss myself. And so I was grappling with the idea of how do you form an identity when you just don't even know where to start? You've let go of everything that you thought you were supposed to be. And now who are you if you're not all the things that you've been told, And it's a place of transformative power. And I think that's what loss does, is when you lose something, you become so determined to survive that you have no other option other than to transform and to be maybe, and then on the other side of it, you become a higher level of yourself.
You know, after a loss comes healing. I want us to discuss, this particular theme in the book, the concept of healing, not only from the loss, but also from history, yeah?
Yes. I grew up I'm a Rainbow Nation child. Mm-hmm. so I came to, understand myself during South Africa's turn into democracy. Uh-huh. And that is such a significant part of how I understand our history. And I feel as though, for me, fiction, or the perspective through which I want to write my fiction, is about hope, and I believe in this hope. I believe in the hope of healing. I believe in the hope of and how transformative healing can really be to people. But my angle, and where I think I'm rooted in, is that I think the healing has to be at a family level. I think families are the places of power through which we can get the transformation on a macro level. Yeah. So that's what I'm interested in, and I think that families are the space where we're going to spend most of our lives. So if we never ever get involved in any kind of politics, if we never ever get involved in any kind of thing, you'll always have your family. So making families the strongest and the healthiest versions of themselves is, for me, a radical thing, and that's what I hope the healing is about. And I think that's could lead to a bigger transformation. I mean, I'm an idealist, so this is what I've chosen to make my banner. But that's how I feel of it, and that's the perspective that has shaped my thinking.
And it's quite interesting that you raised the issue of family. And I read somewhere where you said that family is the most important political space. I suppose then that when you talk of politics, it starts in the family before we talk politics at a national level, perhaps.
Yes, because you're most the ideas you have about yourself, the ideas about what things that you fight for, your discipline, your traditions, your heritage, all of it comes from the people that you come from. And some of the most intimate questions you'll ever ask of yourself are because of the things that did or did not happen to you within the earliest experiences of your life. And I think this is crucial. I think that, how can you go out into the world and be high functioning and be kind and be all the things that we hope, a great nation is about, if at the fundamental level we're so fractured, we're not dealing with things of like, how do people talk to each other? How do we deal with, money? All of these things are so fundamental, and the only place where you learn them is from your first caretakers. To me, it is the most important place where we can find direction on how to, solve the larger questions in life.
Mm-hmm. And you're primarily interested in understanding I would call the intricacies of the dance between narratives of healing and forgiveness in society. And this is evident in Christopher, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, I hope it is. That's my hope. I hope that's what people are like, oh, that girl, she really knows how to talk about healing, But it's my debut novel. So in a debut novel, I think you're always trying to do so much. You're always trying to launch your name. You're always trying to establish yourself as a serious writer. You're always trying to do so many things internally and externally. So I don't have a large body of work where I can say, yeah, look at my long line of what I've done. But I mean, what has definitely inspired Christopher was definitely me being trying to heal my own loss of myself, and then trying to imagine, like, if somebody has lost something. And also that's what was going on around me as well. So many of my friends were either changing careers, or, they had personally lost something or someone very close to them, and we're all changing identities. And this is, it's important. And maybe in my next book, I'll be inspired by another idea. And then you can draw
just a quick one, Zuko. Yeah, just a quick one, Zuko. Are you also one of the authors who sort of strike a resonance with a storyline and sees themselves in the protagonist or some of the characters in the story that they write?
No, not really. I think that some of the characters are things that it's more thematic. I would say yes to your answer if you're talking about themes, but no in terms of characters. Like I don't want to put personal things that happen to people around me in books. Like, I think that's such a betrayal of their confidence. So no, but it definitely in terms of themes, yes. Like I think that is, definitely things that when I feel loss, healing, family, these are definite things that are very important to me.
All right. Zuko, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us. We could have the whole day discussing this.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you. Thank you. Join us all the way from China in Beijing for our book review feature. That's author Nozuko Siyotula, and we've been discussing her debut novel titled Christopher.